Okay, and we are back. So we've got Roy, Lee, and myself here. But we also have a fourth and very special guest joining us tonight. Vic Law of the Brisbane Bullets has been kind enough to lend us some of his time. Vic, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well. Down here in the Melbourne hub. Justin well. How are you guys?
You just got into Melbourne last night, wasn't it? For the hub there
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago. How are you coping with that?
Doing well. Melbourne's a beautiful city.
Beautiful.
I got a chance to go out and walk around today, so it's been cool.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So, yeah, we just mentioned how, I guess, the plan for the interview, we're going to touch base with you on your career, progressing from high school to college, from the G
Yep.
League through to the NBA and the NBL itself. And then just a couple of quick questions at the end, just to recap a couple of other points there. So we'll start off. You're a Windy City boy, born and raised. How was life
Yep.
growing up in Chicago for you?
Well, life was good. I'm coming from a two-parent household, four siblings, and a really tight-knit family.
Yeah, excellent.
I actually born in Chicago, moved to Mississippi, so in the southern part of America, and then back to Chicago. But growing up, I'm from a big sports family, so sports played a huge role, like in my growth as a man and my development. Originally played football and basketball.
Yeah,
Say it again.
Oh no, I was just going to say, was it always basketball? Because
No. So I played football for a while and was pretty good at football.
yeah,
And didn't stop until I got to high school, where my high school coach kind of told me, basically, you couldn't be great at two things. Like, you got to really put your time and effort into one thing.
yeah.
And I'm happy, he told me that. It's taken me a long way. But I would say my father really instilled like toughness and grit, and that's kind of like Chicago's thing, right? Like, it's
Absolutely.
freezing 6 months of the year. It's crime, and there's every city has its cons, but Chicago definitely makes you a blue collar kind of hardworking person.
Yeah.
So that was ingrained in me from a young age.
Well, that's great, because a lot of that it builds character, doesn't it? And it translates into the sporting field. A lot
Absolutely.
of other athletes, might come from more privileged backgrounds, and that they don't have that resilience, that toughness to bounce back in the face of adversity. So having that kind of instilled into you at a young age is certainly nothing but beneficial.
Absolutely.
Vic, so you grew up in Chicago, obviously. Senior year, ESPN had you ranked 66 in the US. I'm sure a lot of colleges wanted that signature on the dotted line. Northwestern isn't close to Chicago. What made you go with Chicago? What made you go with Northwestern?
Well, Northwestern's only about 30 minutes outside of the city of Chicago, actually.
Oh,
It's not
there we go.
far.
The more you know.
It's not far. I actually wanted to go far away.
Yeah.
So your question is like still pretty pertinent.
Yeah.
Why I stayed close. I did have a decent amount of offers. I had my choice to go where I wanted. But it came down to my mom wanting me to get a really good education while still playing at a very high level. Like, Northwestern is still in the Big Ten, which is a very good conference. And it's also like the 10th best academic university in America.
Yeah.
So she wanted me to get a good education, still play basketball, and selfishly for her, I think, still be able to come and watch me play.
Yeah.
My dad was more of the athletic one, saying, just let's go,
Go for it.
go. And my mom was the one kind of grounding both of us. So I chose Northwestern. Had a pretty good career. Was there for 5 years. But originally I thought I would end up either at Florida State, VCU, or Stanford.
Yep. And I guess with your time at college, what was what were you studying in there at Northwestern?
So I ended up majoring in consulting.
Yep.
And I got my master's in sports administration.
Was there a point, I guess, at some point in those 5 years where it kind of clicked to you that, or was it always your dream to make it as a professional, or was there kind of a point in those years where it was like, okay, this is it for me?
Yeah, no. So I think everyone's dream, right? I think that everyone wants to be like the star. Everyone wants to kind of have that big lifestyle. You watch TV, you watch movies, and you see players like Michael Jordan. You see players like LeBron and Kobe.
Yeah,
and everyone wants that. Everyone wants like that like glory, right? But no one wants to work for it.
100%.
And I think when I was a freshman in college, I think I still had that mindset like I could still just coast on talent.
Yeah.
And not really put in the work to do it. And so my freshman year was rough. Like, it was a wake up call for me to play in that kind of conference with so much talent. And, still try to be really good. Like that year, I think 4 of the teams in our conference were in the top 10 in the country.
Wow.
And we're playing them 2 times, in the season. And so it was just tough, like as a young dude going in and not having my like mental game where it should have been. I think after that season and the following season going in, I had really like cracked down, started to work much harder.
Yep.
And just felt not embarrassed, but like I was disappointed in myself that I had let a year slip by where I wasn't giving it my all or not playing to the best of my abilities.
Yep.
So I went in the next season, really didn't even take off like a vacation off season. I just got right back in. I stayed on campus this summer and just worked out all year or all summer.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting hurt and redshirted. So that was like a whole nother 6 months of just like working out.
Yeah.
And that was probably a blessing in disguise where I just got to really mature, miss and appreciate the game again, and get back to work.
Yeah. And sorry, just that point you made on the mental aspect of it, because when you play at such a high level, that's often the physical abilities are pretty in sync, but that's what separates the good from the great, that mental
Absolutely.
side. So it's great to hear that from someone who is a professional athlete, the actual importance of the mental and off the field side of the game. So that's huge.
Yeah. So
well, I mean, I think go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, man.
You go.
No, I was just saying it's definitely different, especially for younger players. I mean, anyone to really, when you finally figure it out, because when you get to professional basketball, especially leagues like the NBA or NBL, everyone is tall, everyone's fast, everyone's athletic, everyone can shoot. Like there's a fine line of like what separates you from everyone else.
Yeah.
And not everyone has that mental toughness or mental capacity to get them over the hump or know exactly like what's needed to win, right? Like that mental roadmap that you need or that veterans need to like pass on to the young guys is so crucial, I think, because you're not there for no reason, right? Like you're there obviously because you can do something.
Yeah, for sure.
But what's going to keep you there? What's going to sustain you as you continue to get better?
Yeah. So all your hard work that you were mentioning before, Vic, had led you to the Magic G League team.
Yeah.
You'd absolutely balled out there. And then you earned the spot with the Orlando Magic. Yeah. I guess I'm wondering, how did you find that transition from the Lakeland Magic to the Orlando Magic? What were the real differences that you realized straight from the get-go?
Man, well, I was pissed, honestly, that like I didn't get drafted. I had a ton of workouts, like did the whole draft process. Was hearing good things and didn't get drafted. Like that day was honestly like one of the most like disappointing and like let down days like that you could have, especially as an athlete. So I was pissed. Like I was like, I don't want to go to the G League. I should be an NBA player. Like, whatever. Like I feel like I'm better.
Yeah.
And then, I went to training camp and I saw like physically, like there weren't many people that like I wasn't physically there with. But mentally, like, like you got to go to the mental, like skill wise, like I wasn't ready. Like it's nothing. I have no hesitancy to saying like I wasn't ready at that moment. And so I feel like going to the G League, especially going to Lakeland, where the organization is so well run and the guys and management there are such good people who are really trying to like help you develop, was great for me. Like I thought that the time I spent in Lakeland really helped me to get to the next step. It not only like got me better skill wise, but really like added to my confidence as I was going. And like, I mean, as you know, like whenever someone believes in you or like you believe they believe in you, it definitely adds a boost to whatever you're doing. So those, however, minute my time in Lakeland was, I really appreciate it. Like I'm so close with those guys down there.
Do you think the fact that you went undrafted builded your character even more so than it already was? Do you reckon the fact that you didn't get drafted made you into the person that ultimately you are today?
Man, absolutely. I think first it humbles you. Like it makes you really appreciate the grind and like the struggle to get it. Like, like, I'm not saying people that got drafted don't have that same mentality, but I definitely know going through the back door trying to get an NBA, you have to have that mindset if you want to make it.
Yeah.
So 100% like just seeing that and then going through my experience at Lakeland and Orlando, I felt like helped me out a lot as I transitioned to the NBA.
Yeah, and I guess just on that, the undrafted side of it, we look at like Fred VanVleet in the league now, and there's a guy who just backed himself in, and like it's becoming more, I guess, profound that players who go undrafted, they do have that character and resilience that we spoke of a moment ago, and it's huge because it translates to everything you do on the court and off the court as well. Like they're things that you can't teach. So again, it's like for anyone listening out there, we just want to reiterate, I guess, the importance of that mentality and the mindset. Because as you said, often at that level, everyone's got the physical, the speed, the height, the jump, but that stuff you can't teach. So really,
I mean, even more so with Fred, he's in the G League, played that season in G League, won the championship. And the next season, he kind of got like a lucky break.
Yeah.
He was one of the last 2 people to get cut in the preseason. I think Corey Joseph gets hurt and is like hurt for a while.
Yep. And
so they need a point guard. Like it's between Fred VanVleet and a guy named Drew Crawford, who actually went to Northwestern.
Yep.
And Corey Joseph goes down. So they need a point guard. And inevitably Fred kind of comes in and Kyle Lowry gets hurt at some stage. He had
What's happened? We've just
has to play opportunity in the right timing, and then after that,
sorry, Vic, we just had just jumped out there. We just caught up with it. No, that's all good. But yeah, and you need that lucky break at times, don't you? Because again, things are almost at this level have to go your way. Not everything's going to go to script, but sometimes you need the coin to flip in your favor.
Absolutely.
Vic, I've been listening to your podcast, 94 and More. Great podcast.
There you go.
To say that. I understand that your transition to the NBL was quite rapid, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're discussing with your agent your options. You express your openness to go to the NBL if that's what it had to come to.
Yeah.
I heard you went for a 2-mile bloody walk around Chicago in the freezing. Came back from that walk and the Brisbane Bullets were on the phone.
Yeah.
Is that true? Wow, that's crazy.
Man, I tell you what, man, free agency for me was basically a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Coming off the season I had prior, my agent and I are more or less thinking like, we just stay in Orlando, keep building.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, it's the same kind of deal. Obviously, we wanted more, but as we're going through it, with COVID, and especially spots getting tight, it's like teams were kind of offering me the G League route or like non-guaranteed things. And I don't know if you know, but a non-guaranteed means nothing. Like you can stub your toe one morning and then that's like it. No stability in it.
Yeah.
And I could have done that. Like I could have competed again, earned that spot, like done that whole thing. But it's definitely not what I wanted to hear in the immediate moment. So it's got to be like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
I go outside with a jacket, shorts, and like boots on. I don't know what I'm doing. And I just go on this walk and I'm just like fuming, just trying to like walk off the frustration.
Yeah.
And I get back and he's like, are you open to playing over the water?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, just whatever you got, man, just let me hear it.
And it feels like
I'm happy that he was able to call me and it was the right timing.
Feels like over in the US, you need to keep proving yourself, and it must be frustrating because you're a good player and you put the work in and do what you can. So that must be frustrating. I just also wanted to say, you're down under now. How's life treating you down here in Australia?
Oh man, I love it. My roommate's over there looking. I mean, I love Australia. I definitely didn't know what to expect coming over. Before I signed, I had called a plethora of scouts and different people that knew the game around the NBA and the NBA, asking them about Australia, and I heard nothing but great things.
Yeah.
So that was a plus. But like coming over here, it's just, especially for an American, it's nothing that you can like describe like when you like, go back. It's almost like something you have to experience for yourself. Australia is a beautiful place, great people, and especially with no COVID, it's almost like the best place to be in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've enjoyed my time.
How was it uprooting your life and moving countries, particularly given the whole COVID situation? I know it's died down a bit now, but coming over to a brand new country, away from all your friends and family, and COVID, happens. How does that affect you? And what impact has that had on you since you've been here?
Well, you're saying it's dying down. I want you to tell that to American government. But
yeah, I guess.
I mean, it was weird at first, right? Like it was a big adjustment. And the Australian borders were closed, so unless you had a work visa, you couldn't come. So any friends or family that I had was not allowed to come with me.
Yeah.
And obviously, a big jump like this is across the world, from where I'm from, to kind of like uproot and say just come over. Is a big step, right? Like,
definitely.
Not only is it a weird social adjustment, but playing wise, when like before I met the team, like they're great guys. Like I love the organization, but before, I had no idea. I could have been walking into like a 9 shitheads. You never know.
Exactly. 100%.
Right? Like it could have been a bad situation where you just kind of like here by yourself. But I was in a lucky situation where I have like some of the best people I've ever met on this team and this organization. So it was an easy transition. Like there was nothing. That I'm missing.
Yeah. Well, on the Bullets, you guys currently sit 6th in the league. Yourself playing incredible ball at the minute. How are you finding the team and the league as a whole? Like the standard compared to the NBA, it's certainly in the last couple of years taken a jump. But what are you making of it so far? And what do you find that the team's chances are of going the distance this year?
Well, I think we definitely have the team, the coaching, and the resources to be very good.
Yeah.
I've said it the first day, and I'll keep saying it. I don't think we're a complete finished product, right? Like I've only been here 2 months. We've only played one preseason. We only had one preseason game in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we're much different than other teams are, right? We didn't have the luxury of really being able to settle in with each other and like find that rhythm before we even started games. Like we're still finding it, and as you see, like once we get it, we look good. And we've been in a ton of close games, right? Like the season is going to be peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And I think the team that's best able to kind of ride those waves and get over the humps and battle adversity and still find a way to keep that enthusiasm day in and day out is going to be the most successful. But man, I think the league, like the NBA obviously has its individual talent and the resources and money backing it. But I think the NBA is a league that deserves its respect as well. NBA, each team has its star power, and it's much more of a team game. Like, every night, every team is playing as hard as they can with excellent coaching and scouting behind them. So it's not like, you can walk into a game and think it's a cakewalk. Like I think every game is entertaining and exciting, and that's what makes the NBL special.
And it's certainly growing. Like last year, we had LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, yourself this year coming on board. It is gaining, I guess, more recognition overseas, and it is helping attract players such as yourself. So has it been, I guess, better quality than you thought it might have been coming over?
No, I mean, I expected the league to be good. So I had a couple in college. I played against Melo Trimble, Jack McVay.
Yeah, quality.
And even like now, the Adelaide 36ers just signed Brandon Paul, who I'm very familiar with, very good friends with. So I had known the league like to get good players and play good basketball. I just think recently, because of the names it's gotten, has gained global attention. That's not to say it hasn't been good, but it's becoming more visible now.
That's it.
For sure. So I guess looking forward, Vic, and this is all dependent on whether you're the type of person who looks to the future or you live in the moment. But I guess, what are your personal goals going forward? Are you happy with where you're at the moment and, see where things take you, or are you definitely, priming for a return to the NBA, all things going well?
Man, I'm taking it every, day by day, every game by game, man. I think at this point, like I've been able to play in the NBA, and that's not to say like, that box is checked.
Mm.
You know, like I played, I scored, but, you know, I'm still hungry for more. Like I want to do more.
Definitely.
But at the same time, like I just want to play this in a situation now where I'm happy
Yeah.
and I'm comfortable, and it's a place where I can continue to grow. Like
Yeah.
I'm not so dead set on like I have to be back in the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go into a bad situation. I'm just trying to look for right now, play the best you can, enjoy Australia, and when the dust settles and things are all said and done, make the best decision for yourself moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, on that, Vic, we're down here in Tasmania, where sometimes
Oh, nice.
the forgotten state almost. But we've got a team joining next season in the NBL, the Jack
The
Jumpers.
Jag Jumpers. Yeah.
What do you make the team name? I got some a bit of initial backlash, but I think it's starting to warm up on people, and ourselves included.
I don't know. Is that just a kangaroo?
No, it's a little kind of like ant with a pretty deadly bite. Kangaroo would be cool though.
That's a bug. It's like a poisonous bug.
Yeah, like a little ant.
Wow. I mean, I don't mind it.
There you go. You learn something new every day, Vic.
Yeah, you got to make it your own, right?
Yeah,
that's it, man.
That's
it. Is we're going to put the feelers out there, but you know, if you ever want to come down to Tassie, mate, there's an open team with your name on it.
I don't know how your teammates would feel about
it. I appreciate
it. Vic, so you've been down here 2 months now. I was just wondering, what are you finding the major differences, not only between Australia and the US, but the NBL and the, you know, NBA or G League or basketball in general in the US?
I'll just say basketball is just I would say the NBL puts a lot more emphasis on physicality.
Yeah.
Like really being physical and like trying to grind it out in games.
Yeah,
definitely.
Whereas NBA is kind of like the NBA has definitely made a more focus of being offensively free.
Yeah.
And you kind of like go and push it, and you want to score as many points as you can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the NBL doesn't want to score, but the games aren't 140 to 130.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, that's
not
more
and more
also,
the NBA now.
There's also no defensive 3 seconds, which is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Between the NBA and like any international basketball. So here, because like, you know, when say I have the ball or any like the other better players have the ball, and the teams can just load the floor and just help, right? In NBA, like you can try to help as much as you can, but at the end of the day, like you can't really sit in the paint.
No, that's
so
it.
The floor is kind of wide open, you know, and with that much talent, it's kind of hard when everyone's on their own island, trying to just play one-on-one with their guy.
Definitely. And I guess in terms of the countries, what's the biggest difference you've noticed off the court with Australia and the US so far?
Well, I feel like Australia is not that big of a jump from America. Yeah. I think, you know, obviously there are differences, right? Like, but the transition itself, it's not that big. I think Australia is a much more laid back, dare I say, well-run America. It's like, it's kind of, I mean, you know, I love America. I love the States and I love my home, but Australia definitely has its big cities, has its sites.
Yeah.
But the people are just more laid back and nice.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like you guys have like some of the best scenery and wildlife in the world. I mean, I'm also living in Queensland with like 20 of the most deadly animals in the world. But
that's true.
It's
every
cool
to outside the doors
to be around it.
Just real quick. Have the teammates given you any nicknames as of yet, or are we still brewing that one up?
No, it's just Vic.
Just Vic, that's it.
Yeah. What are the nicknames, mate?
Yeah, give it to us.
No, it's just Vic.
Oh, we didn't quite catch that one, but I'm sure it's good quality.
Vic, I've just got a quick question in terms of your career. Who has been so far the toughest player you've had to guard? You've no doubt come up against some quality players. Is there one name that sticks out to you?
I would have got a ton of good players, but probably Devin Booker.
Yeah.
I only got to play him my senior year in high school. But even from then, I knew he was going to be a killer. Yeah. Like just his mindset and like the way, just his confidence, the way he shot the ball. Like he didn't shoot it great, but he was getting them up. And he was shooting everyone the same way, just as smooth as the last one.
Yeah.
So him, but I've played a ton of good players, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good call. Book is, you know, we certainly love watching him and what he does. He's one of the premier talents in the league, no doubt.
As you As you're
Definitely.
growing up, I just also wanted to know, a lot of players, all around the world try to emulate their game, say after Kobe, MJ, LeBron, just the greats. I was just wondering, who did you try to emulate your game over anyone, or did you have any main inspirations, or what was the go there?
Well, I mean, I'm from Chicago, so I love Mike. Like no one would ever be over Mike.
Yeah.
The Last Dance was great. Anybody that ever tries to tell me like, I really do respect LeBron. Like I think LeBron and Mike are like the 1A, 1B type things, but no one else. Like it won't be anyone else.
No.
But I think I really enjoy watching Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
Especially like him on those Bulls teams.
Yeah.
And how he was able to be like so versatile and
just
affect the game in like so many different ways.
Yeah.
So if anyone, like when I was younger, it was Scottie.
Yeah.
Well, he was mentioning before, Vic, that you ventured into the podcasting world yourself, and I guess my question, we've been doing this for a little while now, but how have you found the venture into podcasting? Right. And do you reckon, once you finish up your career, whenever that may be, that you may look to do it on a more permanent basis? Is it something that you really enjoy doing in your spare time?
Yeah, so we actually have been doing beginning a pretty good like crowd of good like big names coming in. Yep. And like obviously like I'm busy with NBL, but during my downtime I do enjoy getting on these calls and like talking and learning different people's stories, because when I was in the bubble and I was bored out of my mind some of those days, listening to podcasts and other guys' experiences was really cool, and it made like just breaking up that time interesting, like hearing someone else's story or their experience. Absolutely. Or the way they might have dealt with the same experience you're going through was really impactful and powerful.
And Vic, the name of your podcast, 94 and More, God, I love the name of that podcast. So I think, the listeners should hear, the meaning behind that name. Would you care to share the meaning behind 94 and More, the name?
Yeah, so our my co-host Jake, one of my good friends from California. So we were thinking about what we wanted to like have a podcast about, because at first it was just gonna be me and him kind of having just jokes and conversation, and then we would get guests here and there. But then we, especially during the time in America when social justice and different issues are definitely very pertinent in the world, we just thought like, man, like we have this platform of sports, and like we should use it. We should go on and voice our opinion and get different athletes or different characters around the game, or even just like other people who have platforms come on and speak about how their career, how that venture in their life has affected them, how that made them, right? Like
absolutely.
Sports, as we all know, is a microcosm of society, right? Like I think everyone kind of gravitates towards sports, and sports kind of embodies, or like especially recently has embodied, social culture and social issues. Whether that's NFL kneeling or what players wear or different stuff like that. Like it just has become a small telling of what's going on in society. So we thought, 94 feet is what the length of the basketball court, and then more. So tell like about life. It's about basketball, lifestyle, music, home life, social life, just anything. Clothing, like it's about anything, man. We kind of want to leave it open for our guests. It's not just gonna be athletes. It's gonna be people in big business, musicians that can kind of come on, tell us their story, and we just keep it light, like just be conversation, jokes, good banter, and trying to weave the story that way.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. We love that, and that's like I know for ourselves, we've been going just over a year now, and we are an NBA NBL podcast, but I guess we've had a couple of guests here and there, and being different stories, different voices, and just being exposed to things that we wouldn't normally. And here, like being able to share those stories with other people, our listeners, is huge as well. And speaking of our listeners, Vic, one last question I have here. We have a lot of listeners, whole heap of ages, demographics, locations, all of the above. Now, what for our younger listeners and players, what's the biggest tip you could give to them if they're trying to pursue a career or in that area?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that helped me was that, two things. So for young kids that, are worried about, I'm not in this position, I'm not on this spot. The best advice I got when I was being recruited to college was from a coach named Shaka Smart, who coached at BCU, who's another coach at Texas.
Yep.
First thing he asked me, I walked in, he was like, what position do you want to play, or what position are you?
Mm.
I said, I'm like a wing, I like having the ball in my hands,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, I'll tell you one thing. There's two positions, on the court and on the bench. And I think if you're on the court, you'll just figure it out.
Absolutely.
He's like, if you can't, then you can just sit on the bench. And so I think that has definitely helped in my progression as a basketball player. Brilliant. And the second one would be just trust your path.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people want to compare themselves to others or say, like, maybe I made the wrong turn. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Just remember that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if it's meant to be, then it's going to be meant to be. Keep grinding, stay on your craft, and just enjoy the process. Know that whatever you're doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
And that is brilliant.
Nice.
I think for anyone listening, that's, incredible advice to take on board. And I know for ourselves, this is now a venture that we're really looking to pursue. So just, having, I guess, backing yourself in is huge, and, trusting the decisions you've made. Is incredible wisdom there. So Vic Law, we certainly really appreciate you coming on tonight for the Daily Dribble podcast. We know you're a busy man. You've, a big game coming up this weekend. So we appreciate you lending a bit of your time.
Yep. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
All the best. We wish you all the best for the season. And look forward to seeing you continue to bowl out.
Thanks. All right, boys. Have a good one.
Take it easy, Vic. Cheers, mate.